Hi everybody, my name is Eva and I'm currently on a Kickstart programme with the Gender, but I'm helping Thrive out with the interactive career calls, and I'm going to be hosting this call today. Our guest is Mikey, who is in theatre production, so I'll let him introduce himself in just a sec. But before we start, just wanted to let you know, if you wanted to get in contact with Mikey, you can email us and we can pass it over to him, and our email is info@thrive-cic.co.uk. So then we can send it over to him. So without further ado, Mikey, you can take it away.
Oh, brilliant. I'm just going to share my screen. And here we go. So so I'm Mikey Dunne from Arts Groupie CIC. Arts Groupie is a theatre company that is providing and promoting access to the arts. So what we'd like to do is take theatre and the arts to areas where maybe people don't have as much access to it. So maybe there's families who can't always get to town or don't have time to get places, go to a theatre, and maybe don't have access to go and see shows, and we take it to them instead. So in today's presentation, we will be using Arts Groupie CIC as an example to understand how to manage a creative company, working freelance, how to choose collaborators for work, marketing and branding, and networking and reputation. So Arts Groupie, we develop our own touring theatre. We've done multiple shows over the years, and we also do music productions. We've facilitated many educational workshops for both adults and children in creative writing and spoken word. We take projects to areas where access to the arts is limited, as I've said. We self-publish work, and we started in 2016, and we finally registered as a CIC in 2018. So Arts Groupie to date. We've had £50,000 worth of Arts Council funding so far, and 32,000 additional funding from other sources. Our turnover from last year was £35,000. We've had 2 research and development projects, 4 full Arts Council projects, 1 rural theatre tour and 1 independent theatre project. We've given 11 creative workshop projects, which total 26 sessions. We've sold 3,471 tickets to the public so far. And we're official partner of Liverpool's 2021 Year of Writing. And we've also been selected for SSE Trade Up Northwest. So it's Lloyds Bank help companies. We were part of the startup selection, and they selected our company as a potential company to help us start off our company. And now we're part of the thing to give us extra money so that we can expand. So community interest company, that's what a CIC is. So a community interest company is it's not quite like a charity. It's the idea is that you can do stuff that has an interest for the community. Like, for instance, we do projects that benefit the community, but we're not a charity, so we don't get large donations and those kind of things. So our aim is to create projects that have some sort of benefit for the public, but we're not necessarily a charity. So the pros of setting up a community interest company is that you can commit to benefit the community. You've got limited liability. So let's say if the company goes under, unlike a private business, all of the debts would be our responsibility. But with the CIC, if let's say for some reason we completely fail and the business goes completely under and it goes bankrupt, those debts are not our personal liability, they just get written off. So that's one of the benefits of having a CIC. We have limited governance. So unlike a charity where they sort of watch everything you do and it's very, very carefully managed, you don't get much interference from the government. It's very quick to set up, and there's a lot less paperwork and those kind of things that you have to send off. There is paperwork involved, don't get me wrong, and it can be hard work, but it's not as heavy as running a charity or other types of companies. And you, as a CIC, you get access to certain types of funding that you would not get as a private company, because our work benefits the community. Lots of funders will want to be a part of that because it has a positive benefit for others, rather than a private company that just wants profit. So those are all the pros. Community interest company cons. So as I say, you have to register as to Companies House, it's called. It's a branch of government. You have to pay a fee and be approved. So if you don't have any startup money or anything to pay the fees, that could be trouble, but it's inexpensive to sort of set up the company. But you do have to understand what you're doing and get the paperwork right and make sure that you've got enough staff to set up the company to begin with. You have to have at least 3 people on the board to begin with. Company compliance, there are ongoing responsibilities. As I said, it's not as heavy as it would be for a charity, but we would have to, and we do, have to send off reports and accounts, and those have to be really carefully managed. So we have to really have evidence of everything we spent and make sure that all the receipts are there and all the invoices, so that when they look into our accounts, everything is square. There's no mystery of where money's gone, and so they do look after that. So you have to become more like, maths is not my strong suit, I have to say, but you have to have some basic awareness of how to manage funds and understand basic numbers so that you can keep an eye on your accounts, because they do watch those kind of things. So there's limited tax breaks, unfortunately, for a CIC. As a charity, you might get more tax breaks because you're a charitable organization and the work you do has massive benefits for the public good. And a private company that has lots of profits, it seems weird, but they get more tax breaks than a community interest company would. So we sit somewhere in the middle, so you don't get as many tax breaks, and you do get treated like it's a form of limited company. So you would get taxed if you make lots of profit. So you have to make under a certain threshold. And I guess there's sort of a less prestige than being a charity. That's why lots of big organizations like to be charitable, because it comes with a level of prestige. A registered charity, you go, oh, okay, that's that. Whereas not many people might know. I mean, they're much more popular now, community interest companies, but not everyone might know what that is, and might not realize that actually that is a registered company. So my partner is the director of Art Groupie CIC, and he's also a playwright. So he wrote Kitty Queen of the Wash House. So Kitty Wilkinson was a migrant who came to Liverpool in the Victorian era, and she lived in the slums. She was really the poorest of the poor, but she did everything within her power to help the community. And when cholera broke out in Victorian Liverpool, she was the only one in possession of a boiler to wash clothes with. And so she encouraged all of her neighbours to wash clothes together, wash all of their linen, and she helped them all. And it helped stop the spread of cholera, and it was efforts were recognised, and they actually opened the first public wash houses and bath houses in Britain, in Liverpool at that time, and she ended up running those. So she was she had the most tragic life, full of loss, and yet every day she dedicated to the people around her. So we wrote this play about her life, and this was our first funded Arts Council project. In contrast, the next play we did, it's gone a little bit too far, sorry about that. The next project we did was Weave. So this was the same actress playing Arabella, and the story is about a Scout girl whose extensions become possessed. And the overall message of the play was about online behavior and how that primarily affects girls, the pressure to look a certain way or to act a certain way, and how that actually affects you emotionally, to have all that pressure to look like be beautiful and perfect. And she learns a lesson when she she doesn't realize that the weave that she's bought comes from a Russian prison where they shave the prisoner's hair and the hair comes to life, and teaches her a lesson. So just as a conversation about this, so this also got Arts Council funding. So when we've got Arts Council funding for Kitty Queen of the Wash House, obviously it's about a historical figure, it's a period piece, it's about sort of community. So when we approached the Arts Council and put in a bid, it was, just in case you didn't know, Arts Council England is this authority. They get money off the government and off places like the National Lottery to give grants to arts organizations, and they fund many big arts organizations, but also they give money to individual artists to make work. And for a lot of working class artists who don't have any money to set up their own projects, it's an invaluable fund, because you wouldn't be able to put on those shows otherwise because you wouldn't get the funds. So when we approached the Arts Council with this one, we were thinking, oh, are they going to take to a comedy play about a Scouse girl whose hair extensions get possessed? But it wasn't about whether about the idea or how crazy it was. It was more about how we sold the play and the messaging behind it. So sort of online bullying and online social media pressure is something that we can all understand is very relatable. And so that's what the basis of the play is about, and that's why the Arts Council funded it. So surviving freelance, we're going to do a group task, but I'll just skip over that one. I mean, what we do, as I'll go into a little bit of how we survive. And so John Mcguire is the director of Arts Groupie CIC. There he is, looking very handsome with the actress Kitty Queen of that Wash House. He's the project coordinator for Liverpool's 2021 Year of Writing, of which we're also a partner. He's a former community engagement officer and former project manager at My Clubmore, which is a community hub in Clubmore. He's a former historical walking tour operator for Sandymans, but now he's gone independent. He runs his own walking tours. And he's done 9 professionally staged plays. So before I talk about more what he's done, the theme here is to sort of fund he wants to work in theatre, he wants to do plays, but unless you're very, very lucky to be born with lots of money, or unless you've got connections in the industry, it may be very difficult to get into the industry, but also be able to pay your rent and those kind of things. So in order to do that, we have to take ordinary jobs that may not actually be connected in theatre in any way, in order to pay those basic things, bills, food, all that kind of stuff, but also chase those things in our spare time. And obviously it's an industry in which it can be quite difficult to get into, but if you really have a passion for it and you really want to pursue it, there are ways to manage both those things. So you may find at the beginning that you have to take other jobs in order to fund yourself while you pursue that. But you know, while we started with, you know, we weren't a well-known company, we now have 5 grants from the Arts Council under our belt, and we're a well-known and respected company in Liverpool. So, you know, it does pay off in the end to put in that extra work if you want to pursue something. So yeah, he's staged 9 plays professionally. He's written 135 articles for an international magazine called 10 Million Hardbacks that's based in Japan. And he's also published work as in books. He wrote The Liver Bird, which is a short story for children. And he's got forthcoming works coming out, a novel about Kitty Queen of the Wash House, and a short story collection called Handle with Caution. And here is I in a very, very nice airbrushed picture. So I'm co-director of Arts Groupie CIC. I'm the Employment, Education and Training Link Worker and LGBTQI Officer for Irish Community Care. I'm commercial stage makeup artist for 6 years. I was a former ambassador for the homeless charity, the Foyer Federation. So actually between 2010 and 2012, I was myself homeless. So I know all about coming into a situation where you have no idea how to get out of it, falling on hard times, not knowing how to pay rent, not understanding how to manage money, you know, not having that much experience or education or anything. Well, I went to school and felt educated, but didn't have the qualifications. And so it was really hard to get jobs and to get on the ladder, and it was quite a struggle. So I really understand for people who are in that situation, how hard it actually is and all the barriers. But the good news is that I did find a way to do it, and I did end up getting qualifications and even went to university in graduated in 2019. So there is, you know, even when you hit rock bottom, there's always a way to come back. And now I'm very, very successful. So I'm also a rapper under the stage name Mikey Garland. I'm the most unassuming rapper you've ever come across, I'm sure. But I got Arts Council funding for the album Who's Afraid of Mikey Garland, which is an album that came out this spring, which is about my experience of homelessness. And I'm actually currently a semi-finalist in the UK songwriting contest, praying for better results. hope to be a finalist or to win it. That would be great. And I'm also a former actor and street artist in the Netherlands. So before I came homeless, I'd always wanted to be in the performing arts. And it was just a real struggle, and I had no idea when I left my parents how difficult it would be to actually support myself and stuff, and fell into hardship. But you know, as this story tells, you know, there is ways and means to become a success. So this wasn't meant to be a group task, but you know, this is really about, you know, what to do when things go wrong. So one of the examples I've got, you've prepared for a presentation for a workshop, and you've been promised that a projector is available, but when you arrive, there is no projector. What do you do? Well, this has happened to me 1,000,001 times, where I've gone somewhere and it may not even be that they didn't provide a projector. It might just be that that one day it decided not to work, which happens a lot, or the computer does something funny or has a funny turn, or something happened to the presentation that you prepared. So it's always best to have something backed up. You know, if you come to have a presentation, like let's say this wasn't going to share today, you know, I've got things written down and prepared just in case, so that I could deliver this workshop and talk to you about it. Now, it may not have been as pretty or as interesting without the presentation, but always bring it back up. You were collaborating a project with another person. They've contributed work to the project, including the poster, which has gone out. Their bad behavior is affecting the project. What do you do? This has happened to me also, that we've had people try to derail the project while you're working with them. But it's important that no matter how other people behave, you're professional. You keep a calm head, you do what you're supposed to do, you carry on with the project and carry out to the best of your ability. And you know, once the project is done and you've done everything you were supposed to do, you can just break ties with that person. You don't have to work with them again. And this will happen from time to time, but you have to, you know, it is really difficult. Some people are really annoying and you want to tell them, or you want to might even want to, well, you feel so stressed, you just feel like strangling them, but don't do that. Your reputation is really important. So as long as you just remind it, you know, I'm a professional person. It doesn't matter what that other person is doing. I'm going to do this project to the best of my ability and do what I said I was going to do. The other example is you performed a service for an agreed price. When it comes time to pay, the client refuses to pay. What do you do? Well, it depends on the situation. Some people take a really long time to pay you, but I would just make sure that you have everything in writing. If you've agreed for a price or something, it's, you know, if you are expecting payment, that should be written down within your emails or in some way, or you say, you know, just even if you said it verbally with them and it's a verbal agreement, then you back it up with an email and say, just so I know, you know, this was the price we agreed on, and make sure you've got the agreement so that they can't back out of that agreement then, because it's in writing. Choosing collaborators in the arts. I say try before you buy. So what we often do is when we've got lovely Sam there planning a lovely expression in the play we went to see many of her shows, and in every single show that she was in, she was absolutely fantastic. Her name's Sam Alton. She was just an amazing actress. And she played, you know, Kitty, who's a middle-aged woman with, she was just fantastic in that, but also she played a teenager in Weave, and she was brilliant in both plays. She was just so amazing. And we asked around and people gave her glowing reviews, and that's how we knew to work with her. So those things. And as I said before, get everything in writing before you start any project with anyone. And this doesn't matter whether it's in the arts or any other projects you might be doing. Just make sure that everyone has an understanding of what is expected of them, and that it's always written down. So, you know, always back it up with some sort of written agreement. Yeah, so the other thing is, you know, unfortunately, people do steal your work, your ideas, and that could be quite annoying. But it's good to keep your cards close to your chest. But you know, it's just one of those things when you have lots of creative ideas and you're sharing them with people. Unfortunately, people will borrow or rob things off you. But it is sort of, you know, you have to collaborate with people. It's part and parcel. You know, we couldn't have done these plays without the people that we've worked with, and they've been fantastic. You know, we couldn't have done without those collaborations. So branding. In the original logo, it was, okay, so this is Hogarth, we call him. He is actually, he's like one of those statues that has a tray you put drinks on. Yeah, you know, they sort of hold like a tray and there's drinks on it. That's what he was, and he belonged to John's granddad. And after Johnny died, he decided to, after his granddad died, he decided to use this as the logo. And so we took a picture of him at first, and then we realized, you know, we've got to have a much more polished logo when we incorporated ourselves as a CIC. So we actually turned him into a drawing. We've got someone to draw him. And there he is in all his glory. And we've also got made a Liverpool mark, because we want everyone to know that all of our products, you know, our plays, our workshops, they're all made from Liverpool, and we're very proud of that. Marketing. So always plan ahead with your marketing so that you know what you're doing. You're not just doing it sort of ad hoc. You're not, you know, when it comes to it, you're not sort of going, oh, well, how am I going to market this? Okay, I'll just post it here and I'll post it there. You know, you've got to have a plan and a contingency for how you're going to spread that marketing out, when the marketing is going to start and when it's going to stop, how much money you might have for it, and different ways of marketing. It's really good if you, as a professional, have a website. Arts Groupie has one. It's artsgroupie.org. Try not to spam people. There's nothing worse than if you're trying to promote something. Let's say we're promoting a play. The last thing we would do is go into a Facebook group and post and post and post and post and post, because the only thing that's going to happen really is that people are going to get put off and annoyed by what you're selling, and they probably won't come to see it. So you have to have a much more cleverer way of promoting it. And that has to do with your social media presence. So have been on all different platforms, having lots of different things that you can post about. All of ours is arts related, but it may not just be about what we're doing, but what other people are doing, sharing and collaborating with others, sharing other people's work. You have to be consistent. So there's no point of coming up to let's say we've got a play out 2 weeks before, we promote, and then the social media just dies off and we got no posts. You know, that is it's really hard. It is difficult. It's a big task, social media. I'm sure you know, doing the social media, it's a heavy task to do, but you have to be consistent with it. And that's why people pay other people to do social media, because it's so important to have that presence. And that is all about making sure that there's posts constantly that people can watch, so that people who might want to follow you, they want to follow you because they don't want to miss out on what you have to post. I have plenty of material already. So when we shot the poster for Weave, we got Sam here doing multiple different poses because we didn't want just to put the same image up every single time that people might get bored of. We wanted to make sure that there was lots of different material, and that included backstage material. So there's me putting on Sam's makeup. For this look, we wanted to cake her in makeup. So she very graciously sat there while I applied layer after layer after layer of foundation, and because she's so pretty, she actually looked really beautiful in the lights. It was only when she got outside that we went it was quite a shock when we got outside in the daylight, how much makeup I'd actually put on her, but she was so gracious and she was so good. And there I am standing there pulling on her hair in the background, standing on a chair. When we got the poster, we wanted to look like her hair was possessed. So I was pulling on her hair for about an hour when we took photos, and she didn't complain once. So there's professional behavior for you. And just from my album, here I am looking fabulous, if I do say so myself. So I wanted to get more pictures. Obviously, it's the same idea, not having just the same images over and over again, but having lots of different material to use on social media to keep it interesting. Networking. Now, again, I'm not the most social person. I find it quite difficult in a social situation, but it's part and parcel of networking. You've got to go out there and find connections. So you've got to attend events, but you don't want to spread yourself too thin. You don't want to turn up to the opening of an envelope. You don't have to be at every single event, but you can be at, just have a look what's out there, what's going on, which ones do you want to attend, and where could you possibly meet people. If you're, there's nice drilling going on in the background there. Let's imagine, you're not the best, most social person. Like my partner is, he's just a social butterfly, talk to anyone, whereas I struggle a little bit more with that. But if you prepare a 30-second lift pitch for whatever you're doing, you say, right, let's imagine you're in a lift and you have to explain to someone by the time you get to the bottom floor what you do. Just make sure you have that prepared so you can tell it in 30 seconds. This is who I am, this is what you do. Get used to talking to strangers, but remember etiquette. If someone's having a conversation, they'll be like, hello, here I am. Hi, I'm me. Just remember your manners. And if someone's busy, you can always come back to them later, or just remember yourself that, if someone's having a conversation, that maybe you don't want to interrupt them, and be generally interested in the other person. You're not just there to sell yourself. You want to know what the other person's doing, and you want to show genuine interest in what they're doing, because that's how you form proper relationships. If you're just sort of going, oh, well, this is what I'm doing, and then when they're talking to you, kind of looking away, that is not the best impression to leave. And then we get to reputation. So be a person of your word. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. Be a sensible drinker. So when you're going to an event, networking, and you want to meet, let's say you're an actor and you want to meet directors, or you're a playwright and you want to meet people who might, producers that might want to put on your thing. If you are a person who falls out of that event drunk, and you're thrown up on the sidewalk, and people will remember that and decide maybe not to hire you for that. And people do. We've been in situations where we've thought of hiring someone, and then we've seen them out and about, and we thought, actually, and you know what, it may not be that they're like that all the time. It may have just been that one time, but those that lasts, that reputation. So and it does make you think twice, because you think, well, are they going to turn up to what we're doing? Are they going to be at the rehearsals, or are they going to be sick because they've been hungover? Keep your cards close to your chest. You want to tell people what you do, but you may not want to tell them every single project that you're doing, or every idea that you have, especially if it hasn't happened yet. It's always best to say, this is what I'm doing now, and it's already a product that you're making or you're involved with, rather than, oh, I've been thinking about writing this idea, because people will nick it. They will. It has happened to us. Always be nice and be polite. Like I've had this loads of times where you know, because Johnny is the director of Arts Groupie, and he's done loads of plays. People will come up to him and say, you know, hello, and then I'm stood there and they completely blank me because they think, oh, what I have to offer isn't important because I'm not the director. But I'm the director's spouse. So you don't know who you, oh, just think to yourself, you know, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if that person is important. You don't know whether in 3 years they're going to be important or whether they're connected to someone important. So always be polite to the person you're speaking to, even if you think actually they've got nothing to offer me. Just always, you know, keep your manners about you. Watch your social media, make sure that I mean, I'm a little bit political, so I have to watch myself and not have a go at the government every 5 minutes because, you know, it's not the most professional thing. And some people are put off by that, even if they agree with you. And everything you do should be your best work. Always put in your 100%. So that was Arts Group in a nutshell, and I hope it gives you some idea of what we're about, and there is some contact details there if you want to get in touch, or you can contact Thrive.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much. If we keep that page up, just so people can take in the information and I can just ask a few questions if that's all right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, bro. So like obviously setting up your own business isn't overnight and it's not easy to do. I mean, I've never personally done it, but like I know just through like obviously word of mouth and just it's something that's, you know. But I was just thinking, like, did you ever get to a point between yourselves? I mean, it kind of helps you did it together, but did you ever feel like giving up almost, like it wasn't going to pay off?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, especially, you know, often what happens in the arts, unfortunately, is it's who you're connected to and who has money and those kind of things. And so if you don't have those things, it's you know, triple the amount of work to get people to recognize you or to have respect for you. And sometimes it feels like even now that we've had lots of successes, it still feels like an uphill battle to get people to say, you know, it doesn't matter that we don't have all the biggest industry connections. We're doing fantastic work. So it's about, you know, sometimes we did have to start from scratch, you know, you have to start from somewhere, but it's about having that, you know, thinking, you know, the end goal, in the end, it will get better. So each time we put on a piece of work, it adds to our reputation. So when we first started, since we didn't have Arts Council funding, so we had to fund it ourselves. So that came out of our own pocket, and that's not an easy thing to do, but we had to save up. It would almost like saving for a holiday or saving for a night out. We're saving to put on something, that's what we want to do. So that's what we did. We saved up money, and we funded the just short versions of Kitty Queen of the Wash House. We put it on, you know, just half-hour versions, or we sent it off to competitions to be a part of different projects. And that's how we got the evidence so that we could approach the Arts Council and then ask for the funding, because that's really important, is that you've got evidence that you can actually do the work when you ask for funding. And that's how we did it. But it was, yeah, it's really hard. It's you know, at this point we know that we can do it. So, but at the beginning it could have been very easy to give up, but here we are, we've pushed forward, and now we're a huge success.
Definitely, it's definitely paid off, but like as she said, like it takes a lot of like energy and like mental energy really to put like savings, almost like your money, your hard-earned money, into something that may or may not pay off. Like
Yeah.
it's a gamble really, isn't it? But as you said before, like if it's your best work put forward and like like this is what you want and like you've got a lot of faith in it, hopefully it's like it is a gamble really, isn't it? Which is sad, but...
And you also have to be ready, you know. So there may be a time that we put on a play and it just doesn't work. People don't like it. People aren't interested in it. That's not happened so far, luckily, touch wood. But it could happen, and you have to be ready to sort of take that on the chin and say, okay, this didn't work, but that doesn't mean that it's the end or that we're not good at it. It just means that this particular idea didn't work. And so you have to be ready to try again if that happens.
Well, it's like auditions as well. Like it's like a lot of like, just to put it into perspective, a lot of famous actors don't get certain roles, and it's not because they're not good, it's because that just wasn't suitable for them that time. And it is that, like, sometimes it just doesn't work, but sometimes it really does. So
Yeah.
it's one of them, I guess. But how did you get into creating this almost? It's like what have you done throughout, like, growing up and things that you, like, always clicked in your head that this is what you wanted to do?
Right. So I think it was sort of like, I don't know, it's genetic wanting to, I don't know, as you say that you're interested in the arts, you know, it's almost like an instinct to want to do it. For me, I always was like singing and dancing and wanted to do stuff. And it, in my teens, I relentlessly pursued it. I really, really wanted to be an actor or be on stage. I used to sing when I was a kid, but then my voice broke and I had to deal with the fact that that wasn't going to happen. But I was really into hip hop. My siblings were big into hip hop and introduced me to Tupac when I was too young, actually, to be fair. But I completely fell in love with that, and that followed me later and actually ended up coming back. So there was a point when I became homeless that I thought, you know, this isn't going to happen for me. I'm not going to be a performer. It's not. This is just a pipe dream. I'm probably just going to have to take job in an industry that maybe I don't want to work in, and that's going to be my lot. And I was wrong. I was really wrong. And it just shows you the payoff of having that tenacity to say, actually, I'm going to keep doing this until the end, even if I make it to the end of my life and it hasn't worked. At least I've tried the whole time, and I've tried to do what I wanted to do. And you may find very much that it does pay off to pursue that.
That must have been such a hard pill to swallow, like, to admit almost to yourself, or like think you were admitting to yourself that, like, the thing that you dreamed of, you didn't think it was going to come true, but, like, as you've proven, like, if you work almost hard for it, like, you can actually do it, which it takes a huge mental ability to do that, like, so strong. So hats off to you completely. But what difference do you think you'd seen through your work? Have you seen much difference for other people? Like, what difference does it make to people?
Oh, I mean, it depends. There's multiple ways to answer that. I suppose the community work that we've done, we know that, you know, it means a lot to families who can't, you know, there's families here who in Liverpool who are slightly more disadvantaged, who maybe they can't afford to go and see a show that costs maybe £40 or even £12 to go a ticket to go and see a show. So in order for us to be able to take that to areas so that they don't have to get the bus or travel somewhere, or they don't have to pay really high prices to go and see a show, means a lot. And it means that kids who maybe one day will be interested in the arts, that's where their love for it might start, is by seeing one of our shows and they realize that they're interested in that, and that means a lot. And we've had so much wonderful feedback from all the different projects that we've done in the community, and that's why we do it. We know that it has a positive impact, and multiple studies have shown that access to the arts contributes to the health and welfare of communities, and it's really, really important.
Yeah, 100%. And last one, sorry, but do you have any tips for someone who's wanting to start off into, like, a similar business, whether it's creating their own company, or anything to do with the arts, really? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to have some sort of self-belief. So I've been interested in rap for ages. When I was homeless, I got the opportunity to go to London for a 2012 Olympic event, and which was to do with homelessness at the Royal Opera House. So I performed rap for the first time there. And since trying that out, I thought, I think I can rap. And I've kept saying to people, I'm going to make a rap album. And people are going, of course you are.
Yes.
Yes, of course that's going to happen for you. And, you know, and it could be anything, you know. The arts is one of those things where people go, oh, really, are you going to go after that? People don't take it as seriously as other things. But, you know, I did it, and the feedback on that album was actually humongous, and I entered it for the UK songwriting contest, and here I am as a semi-finalist in a really prestigious contest. So it just goes to show you that, you know, and I, you know, in the back of my head, I'm going, am I crazy? Am I insane for wanting to be to do that? But you know, you've got to have that belief, and that's the fundamental thing I would give advice for, is just believe in what you want to do and pursue it, and don't listen to what other people might have an opinion of it. If that's what you want to do, then do it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And I guess sorry, what was the question again? I forgot.
You answered it so brilliantly. Do you have any tips for someone wanting to start off into like that industry?
Yeah, so it's you know, if for us, it's always been about creating our own opportunities, because obviously, you know, it's not going to be handed to us. That's unfortunately not how the world works. It's not fair, definitely not fair, that some people get offered more opportunities than others. But since that is not the way things work, we've decided to make our own opportunities by funding our own work and then going for the Arts Council funding. And that, you know, that's the main thing. You have to, if it doesn't come to you, you have to create it yourself.
Yeah, you've got to push for what you believe in, basically, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Brill, I'm all questioned out, but you answered them all perfectly. So I just want to say thank you as well, one, for just being here and talking to me, but also for like opening up about your whole journey and everything that you do. It's really like insightful and amazing, in all honesty. But yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me and your time today.